And you talked about the students. Can you give us a kind of a real quick, tangible idea of who are the students of today? They're probably different than the students when I was in college, but can you tell us who are the students and what are they interested in and how do they see the world?
Sure. Our student population it's somewhat unique. It's over 70% of our students are Hispanic.
How in one of the films about how students who get their degrees in a place stay in that place and therefore strengthen the economy, the industries, and the communities in those areas. Really important. Moving on to Sydney Williams, who is representing the Palm Springs Architectural Alliance. We're at an interesting, as somebody said, a pivot point. I mean, we have such a rich past, and we're moving into what could be, should be, if we do it right, a rich future. So how do you see how the past, the history of Palm Springs relates to what could be coming?
Well, I'm just really thrilled that the campus is, first of all, coming to Palm Springs to establish kind of a real foothold of architectural education here. And this community is just amazing in terms of its support for design, architecture, and preservation. And it's attracted so many creative people. And I think the fact that the students are interested in architecture, the Cal Poly students are coming here to do some of their coursework. It shows that Palm Springs is a hub of innovation, and as you say, this is a great opportunity for the future because sustainability and climate change and new products and technologies, all of that is just bursting at the moment, and I think the students are just embracing it. And I am too.
And probably most of the people here. Lauren, I have great respect for Dr. Bricker because of her work on history, on Donald Wexler and others. But I'd like you to be a little bit more kind of specific about how those sorts of issues, which we now have to address in terms of sustainability. Is there an example that you like especially that would prove that?
Well, you know, when we think about modern architecture, we also often think about, say, the Barcelona Pavilion or, you know, glass volumes, but much of modern architecture is a kind of a combination of fairly solid walls and glass. And we have this notion that it always has to be a flat roof in modern architecture, but in fact that's not always the case. So the range of what really fits under the umbrella of modern architecture is actually pretty wide, and I think that Palm Springs and the adjacent areas is a good example. And if I could just mention, just from the standpoint of educational complexes, Sydney and I got very interested in Crafton Hills Community College, designed by Stu Williams, that's in Yucaipa, with a very similar kind of climate to Palm Springs, and has lots of innovative uses of reinforced concrete, creating canopies, creating sheltered spaces, capturing.
I've always felt that the best cities in the world are those that build on their architectural past as a foundation, not to repeat it constantly, but to realize how people solved problems before and then moved forward to solve the problems of today.
Absolutely.
Okay, Mario and Jean, great to see something tangible in terms of drawings. Of course, this is still early in the process. A lot of the elements have not been defined in terms of the exact architecture. That will be coming, right, in the future. How are...
Ultimately, there'll be architecture.
So what you've seen are, broad conceptual ideas about it, but again, the fun of architecture is being specific, how you relate those. How will the architects be chosen? Has that been determined yet? One architect, a team of architects?
I think we're probably not the right people to ask, or, because we would just choose ourselves.
I think maybe one dimension to your question is, irrespective of who is the final author of the architecture, should the campus be of one hand, or should it be of multiple hands? And so we've had that discussion with leadership, and it's a fascinating discussion. I mean, if you go to the Getty Museum in Los Angeles, you have the hand of Richard Meyer, and arguably that hand and that singular language can be, depending on your opinion, too dominant. Whereas you go to other campuses and you see an authentic diversity of approach, that can really be additive. So I think it is a critical question you're raising, both logistically, but also in terms of the ultimate character of this campus.
I wanted to get into some of the planning issues, because that is the beginning that you have been delving into. And you talk about connectivity of this campus. How will you make sure that the campus is connected to the immediate and the broader context?
Well, the grid of the city that you mentioned in Palm Springs, I mean, just as you all well know, these are super blocks, 1,100 linear feet along Farrell between one corner of the campus to the other. I think what we're very interested in doing is how can we take the super block dimension and break it down into a series of portals. Jean talked about that earlier, so that one sees, as you mentioned, a curated street.